Jaya Shubhatram Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Shri Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
ॐ
ॐ
नमो
नमो
भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
ॐ
ॐ
नमो
नमो
भगवते
भगवते वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
ॐ
ॐ
नमो
नमो
भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
Narayanam Namaskritva
कृत्य
Naram
नरं
Chaiva
चैव
Narottamam
नरोत्तमं
Devim
देवीं
Saraswatim
सरस्वतीं
Vyasam
व्यासं
Tato
ततो
Jayam
जयमुदीरये।
Udirayet Sunvatam Swakatha Krishna पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तस्तोय्य भद्राणि
भद्राणि
विदोनोति
विद्वानोति
सुरक्षताम्
सुरक्षताम्।
नष्टप्रायेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु
भद्रेषु
भद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
भगवतसेवया
भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके
उत्तमश्लोके
भक्तिर्भवती
भक्तिर्भवति
नैष्टिकी
नैष्ठिकी।
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We're discussing fourth canto, 29th chapter. Today we'll continue from verse number 38 onwards. Okay, please repeat. सोचिरादेव राजर्षे
No चिरादेव राजर्षे
शोचिरादेव राजर्षे
तो चिरादेव राजर्षे
स्यद् अच्युता कथाश्रयः
यादच्युत कथाश्रयः
स्यदच्युता कथाश्रयः
स्यादच्युत कथाश्रयः
शृण्वता श्रद्धधानस्य
शृण्वता श्रद्धदानस्य
शृण्वता श्रद्धदानस्य
शृण्वता श्रद्धदानस्य
नित्यदा स्याद् अभीयतः
नित्यदा स्याद् अधीयतः
नित्यदा स्याद् अभीयतः
नित्यदा स्यात् अधीयतः सोचिरादेव राजर्षे
शोचिरादेव राजर्षे
स्यादच्युत कथाश्रयः
स्यादच्युत कथार्षयः
शृण्वता श्रद्धदानस्य
शृण्वता श्रद्धदानस्य
नित्यदा स्याद् अधीयतः
नित्यदा स्याद् अभीयतः
शाचीरादेव राजर्षे
साचिरादेव
सोचिरादेव
राजर्षे
राजर्षे
शायदच्युता कथाश्रयः
स्यादच्युत
साच्युता
कथाश्रयः
कथार्षयः
श्रीनिविता श्रद्धया नशा
शृण्वता श्रद्धदानस्य
श्रद्धदानस्य
नित्यदाश्वा आदियतः
नित्यदा
नित्यदा
स्यात्
स्याद्
अधीयतः
अभीयतः
रुचिरादेवराजर्षे
शोचिरदेव
रुचिरादेव
राजर्षे
राजर्षे
स्यात् अच्युतगदाश्रयः
स्यादच्युत
स्यादच्युता
कथाश्रयः
कथाश्रयः
शृण्वत श्रद्धदानस्य
शृण्वता श्रद्धदानस्य
शृण्वदशब्दशब्दहनशा
नित्यदा स्यादधीयतः
नित्यदा स्यात्
नित्यदस्वाद्
अधीयतः
अधीयतः।
Synonyms Sha, that,
such that
Achirat, very soon,
achirat very soon,
Eva, certainly.
Eva, certainly.
Rajarse, O best of kings.
Rajrishi, O best of kings.
Shyat becomes
Syat becomes
Achyuta of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Achyuta of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Katha, narration.
Katha, narrations.
Asrayaha, depending on.
Ashrayaha, depending on.
Srunvataha, of one who is hearing.
Shanvataha, of one who is hearing.
Shraddhadanasya, faithful.
Shraddhadhanasya, faithful.
Nityada, always.
Nityada, always.
Shyat becomes.
Syat, become.
Abhiyataha, by cultivation.
Adhiyataha, by cultivation.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O best of kings, one who is faithful, who is always hearing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always engaged in the culture of Krishna consciousness, and in hearing of the Lord's activity, very soon becomes eligible to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. Purport. Constant engagement in the transcendental loving service of Vasudeva means constantly hearing the glories of the Lord. The principle of Bhakti Yoga, Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dashyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam are the only means by which perfection can be attained. Simply by hearing of the glories of the Lord, one is elevated to the transcendental position. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चातदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. We are discussing the conversation between Narada Muni and King Prachinabarishat. In this chapter, we discussed that King Prachinabarishat requested Narada Muni to speak about all the character which he mentioned in the allegorical story about King Puranjana. So, Narada Muni in detail described about all the character. So Narada Muni, end of previous chapter, he disclosed that the story of King Puranjana was not real. It was just an allegorical story. Whereas why he would like to, why did he speak about King Puranjana? Because he wanted King Prachinabarishat to understand that it's all about King Prachinabarishat story only. Instead of directly saying that, he used indirectly King Puranjana's story. So King Puranjana, the king, while mentioning the King Puranjana story, we know that Narada Muni used many complicated terminologies, complicated correlations. So it's So that's why King Prachinavari said that it's very difficult for me to understand. And he confessed that he is not at the elevated position. For the devotees, for those who are completely surrendered, they can understand the concept, but for him, as he was not at the bhakti platform, he couldn't understand clearly. So that's why Narad Muni in this chapter very elaborately talking about all the character and how it is correlated, the body, the mind, the intelligence, how the jiva, the living entity, the soul is entrapped in this material world, how soul develops or rebellious nature and separate from Krishna and come to the material world and influenced by the modes of material energy, um, develop uh, develop body bodily platform, a concept of bodily platform, and accordingly he commit various activity, and because of that he gets the reaction of such activity, and according to his desire uh, and the karma activity, he'll get different bodies. He keeps on wandering within the 8.4 million species. And finally, when he realized that he is suffering in this material body, he tries to come up with the different solutions within this material realm, but unfortunately, he couldn't solve this problem. Narad Muni clearly says that uh, the so-called people, they try to shift their burden from one place to other, but they do not know how to completely get rid of that burden. And he clearly mentioned that one cannot completely get rid of these miseries or burden by any material problem. The only solution is Krishna consciousness. So that's why this section this section is purely on a bhakti platform, like Bhagavad Gita, how Krishna in the 9th chapter clearly talks about bhakti. So this section 34 to or till the end of the chapter, we'll see the extreme concept of bhakti. How should one perform the bhakti, and what is the result, So he says that one cannot counteract the troublesome dream by another hallucination, but only by waking up. Similarly, material existence, which is due to our ignorance, cannot be counteracted by karma, but only by awakening to Krishna consciousness. The only remedy is surrender to Krishna. So that is what we need to accept it. We need to develop the strong faith on this Krishna conscious journey. If you do not have a faith, if you do not have a confidence, then we need to inquire. We need to clarify the doubt. Why we do not have that confidence? Why do we think that Krishna conscious is not only the solution, right? So this way, to further clarify, he's saying that one should perform bhakti by approaching a spiritual master. That's what we read yesterday. One's real interest is to get out of the nescience. The remedy is bhakti onto the Lord through his representative, Bhaktya Paramaya Guru. Without this, one can develop neither detachment nor real knowledge. So, Vairagya, detachment and knowledge are must to come to the platform of bhakti, devotional service. Bhakti means devotion. Bhaktyamam, so only the devotional service onto Supreme Personality Godhead Krishna, one can get rid of this material entanglement and go to the spiritual world. So how do you come to the platform of bhakti? Before that, we need to develop the detachment and knowledge. We need to develop the knowledge. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of knowledge of Krishna, the Supreme Lord, knowledge of ourselves, the knowledge of the relations between them, and and after that we need to perform various activities to come to the pure state. So when we develop that knowledge, then what happens? Then we will be able to develop the detachment. Detachment of what? Detachment from this material world. When I say detachment, yesterday we clearly discussed that it's not the detachment, literal detachment, that I get rid of everything, not like that, Detachment in the sense, detachment to the material activities and attachment to the spiritual activity. So vairagya means that is what? Yukta vairagya, what we discussed, So when you do the detachment, when you acquire the knowledge, the true knowledge, and we develop detachment, then we will be come to the platform of bhakti. And when we sincerely perform bhakti, then we will be free from all the entanglement. Then continues to his speaking in this verse. He speaks. Then what would be what is the other process? So I spoke about vairagya and jnana, knowledge and detachment, right? Now, if you do that, then there is the next stage that is called we need to perform some activities. That is what we say devotional service, right? We need to engage our body, our senses, um, our activities in the service of Krishna. So that is what here Narad Muni is uh, is talking about. He's saying that, O best of kings, one who is faithful, who is always hearing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always engaged in the culture of Krishna consciousness, and in hearing of the Lord's activity, very soon becomes eligible to see the Supreme Personality Godhead face to face. Hearing leads to seeing the Lord. So, the bhakti principle, the start from the hearing. We should regularly hear about Krishna and Krishna's devotees, Krishna's pastimes. That is the best way to develop that knowledge and detachment, what we are talking about, hearing. When we hear continuously, regularly, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Satata Kirtayanto Mam. Kirtayanta, Satata means always hear about Lord's glories. Right. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, in the 9th part, Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantascha Dridvritaha Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya Nitya Yukta Upashate. So, Kirtayanta, Kirtana means when we chant, hear, chanting the glories. When we chant and hear Krishna's name, always, Satatam Kirtayantama. That's why chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra is so prominent in our parampara, in our disciplic succession. So, someone, the people always say that why do we in Iskcon give so importance to chanting? And they say that where does Krishna say about chanting? Krishna spoke about chanting many times. One of the example is this. Krishna clearly says, Satatam kirtayanto mam. Always say, always chant my glories. What do we mean by that? When you do Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Right? That means we are glorifying the Krishna's name. Satatan kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridvritaha, and endeavoring with a great determination, fully endeavoring. Dridvritaha, with determination. And namasyantascha mam bhaktya. And when we offer obeisances in devotion, bhaktya means with devotion, nitya yukta upashate. So perpetually say that these great soul perpetually worship me with devotion. So this is what we need to understand, you know. So Sravanam, so Prabhupada here says, so the Narad Muni here says, that's what, who is always hearing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always engaged in the culture of Krishna consciousness and in hearing the Lord's activities. Always engaged in the culture of Krishna consciousness means one who is always engaged in the services, devotional activity, hearing, chanting, all the process, Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dashyam, Shakhyam, Atmanivedam. These are the 9 types, 9 different ways one can perform devotional service. Starting with the Sravanam. Sravanam means hearing the glories of the Lord. So when you say hearing, it's not only just hear about Lord, it's all Krishna. That's why we call Krishna Katha. Katha means uh, stories, Katha or Krishna glories, whatever we can use in a different context. The talks, you know, hearing about Krishna, that's called Krishna Katha. So anything related to Krishna is called Krishna Katha. You know, not only it should not be always directly about Krishna, but Krishna's devotees, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's janma. That's why Krishna says, "Janma karma chame divyam ebam yo veti tattvataha tyakta deham punarjanma naiti mameti sa Arjuna." Krishna says, Krishna's janma, Krishna. When you hear about Krishna's birth, the appearance, disappearance, Krishna's pastimes. In reality, tattvataha, you know, then what happened? Tyakta deham, after leaving this body, we won't take birth again in this material world. That's what Krishna says. So that's why Sravanam is very important. Sravanam, Kirtanam, glorifying, you know, chanting, Vishnu Smaranam, remembering always Krishna. Pada Sevanam means service. You know, Archanam, the devotion, you know, bandhanam, prayers. Archanam means the worship, right? Dashyam means servitorship. Shakhyam means friendship, and Atma Nivedanam is completely surrender, right? So in the previous words we discussed, the first 5 is very important, which is everyone can do, but others like Dashyam, Shakyam, Atma Nivedanam, these three are the highest level of bhakti. Only Krishna will revealed to them. Like, but first that's why Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Swaram, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Bandhanam. These six, the first six process or types of devotional services are important and everyone should do. So then what happened when Narad Muni say, when someone performs such, always engage in culture of Krishna consciousness and in hearing of the Lord's activities, very soon becomes eligible to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. One can see Krishna face to face. Simply by hearing of the glories of the Lord, one is elevated to transcendental position. So face to face, right? It means one can realize Krishna, when we engage such activities. Prabhupada says constant engagement in the transcendental loving service of Vasudeva means constantly hearing the glories of the Lord. So that is what? Bhakti Yoga. So in other word, how do you face to face means we will reach to the platform of bhakti. One who hears and studies with faith very soon attains Bhakti Yoga. So in the form of, so one will reach that one will bhakti platform and develop and reach to the highest stage of bhakti, that the pure devotional or pure bhakti in the prema stage. So that's why we need to constantly engage in the service. Satatam Kirtayan. So then that's why Sravanam Srunvata Shraddha Dhanasya. So we should hear regularly with faithful. Srunvatam. So when you hear also, what happened? All our anarthas will be eradicated, right? That's what we say. Srunvatam Katha Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtana Hridayantostoya Vardrani Vidonoti Srata. Right? Every day we pray. Before start our Bhagavatam, we say Srunvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtanaha Hridayanta Stohi Abhadrani Vidonoti Sruhat Satam. So what here Sutta Goswami says, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desires for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Srunvatam means those who have developed the urge to hear the message of Swakatha Krishna, Krishna's own katha, his own word, the personality of God. Then what in Punya Sravana Kirtanaha. So that's what would happen when we hear, it cleanses. Vidonoti Sruhat Satam. Vidonoti means cleanses. So it cleanses all the avadhrani. Hridayantostohi avadhrani. Hridaya means heart. Hridayantostehi means within the heart, So within the antarstha means within the heart. Abhadrani means the propensity of desire to enjoy matter, all the impurities what we have been accumulated since time immemorial, all those will be cleansed when we hear the Krishna Katha. That is what this same thing it says, So that's why we need to, cleanse all our impurities, anarthas. Unless we clear all the anarthas, we cannot enter into the spiritual world. So when we have a desires to enjoy this material in this material world, that means we have the sins. We have various sins still accumulated. So that's why we need to develop. So sometimes, it's very difficult to detach, or difficult to get rid of various material desire. Unless we are attached to Krishna, the detachment to material world is not possible. That is what Narad Muni is clearly said in previous verse we discussed. The only means is to prayers, attachment to Krishna conscious activity. So this is what very. So then one will say that how do you? So then, if constant hearing is mandatory, so where would we get that Krishna Katha or the authentic source of Krishna? That's what Narad Muni speaks in next verse. We'll discuss that. What do we mean by Krishna Katha? What is the source of Krishna Katha? And how should we hear that? That's what he says in the next 2 verse. Let's see. Let's discuss this. So these verses are at the pure bhakti platform. Any question or comment before we go to the next verse?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
You mentioned like we need to have the knowledge about Krishna, jnana and vairagya to do bhakti. But I think in earlier class we also saw the verse Vasudeva Bhagavate Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. So it's the jnana and vairagya are the outcome of bhakti, right, Prabhu? We don't necessarily need.
So this is what, right? So bhakti, okay, Vasudeva, we'll go to that verse. So it says that Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha. Then what is the next statement?
Janetyash vairagyam jnanam shayate ahetukam.
So jnana and vairagya, So it's like, we to get the jnana and vairagya, okay, bhakti is required, but actually how the bhakti also starts. It's all, we cannot say like one after other, that's what we need to understand. It's like only bhakti will do, then jnana will come. It's not that. So bhakti will start unless we have a jnana, right? Actually speaking, the then we may have a little faith, okay? That's what we start, from the little do the bhakti.
Yeah, Adav Shraddha is required,
Right. We little bhakti is there, that's what there, but actually the real bhakti will start when we purify, the jnana and vairagya is there, then the bhakti cannot be possible, the next stage of bhakti, because it's a progression. It's not like that, okay, only after jnana and vairagya then only will bhakti will get, or when we get the bhakti then only jnana and vairagya. It's like a progression, right? That all the stages of devotional, right? The adau shraddha, bhajana kriya, anartha nibriti, all the asakti. The stages are not like that one after. It's not in a serial way. It's like a parallel. It goes. It's not that one after other. That's what we need to understand.
Right, and the Hare Krishna movement is the example. Like when Srila Prabhupada started with his early disciples, he started mainly with Adav Shraddha and the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, right? They were not doing all the other jnana and vairagya so much when they first started. So that came later. So with the Adav Shraddha and their progression of chanting, then Srila Prabhupada put all those rules and regulations on the door, Now you should follow these rules and regulations for progression, like you said.
Yeah, it's a continuous progression.
Right.
Yes, bhakti is required initially. Ardha Sudha, little devotion.
Initially bhakti trumps everything else,
Right.
So does that make sense, Madangi?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you, bro. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. I mean, then what happened? Only bhakti one that. Then later stage, like if you want to progress in the bhakti, then jnana vairagya is must required. So we have to acquire the knowledge, the proper knowledge. Then with that knowledge, what happens? We will develop the detachment also. That's why in the previous verses, I think we discussed, right? Sometimes the desire to enjoyment. How can you get rid of that desire to enjoyment? When we control the mind, right? So the detachment from the material activity can be stopped only when we can control the mind. How will you control the mind? Again, that knowledge comes. With the knowledge, we have to develop, understand this, then only we'll control. So that's what it's all the progression, till we reached that highest stage of bhakti.
But that's the problem with many of the even the Indian population. That's what we were talking about the other day. They think just bhakti is enough.
Hmm.
That jnana and vairagya are not required.
Right.
They just simply do the bhakti. I mean, yesterday I was like so upset and angry in one of the WhatsApp groups. This is one of the Middletown Temple WhatsApp groups.
Hmm.
They posted something about this Jyotish. Jyotish is what do they call in English? Someone who predicts things, for the future. Huh?
Astrologer?
Yeah, an astrologer,
Astrologer.
exactly. She is a completely fake astrologer as far as I'm concerned. And I was so angry, I actually replied in that group. She says, stupid astrologer. I mean, I didn't call her stupid, but I called her unintelligent in the group. She says, oh, Bhagavan, she was talking in Hindi, they posted this in Hindi post. She was predicting something which I'm sure is not at all correct if she's talking what she's saying. She says, "Oh, the person is asking the question, the interviewer. अगर वेज और नॉन वेज खाया तो वो दूसरे planet में जाएंगे or something like that." He asked us, do they go to different planets? And she says, वो तो मैं बात कर मैं डिबेट में नहीं आऊंगी. वेज और नॉन वेज एक ही है. भगवान समदर्शी है. That the
अरे
Lord
वाह.
is समदर्शी. Okay. And then she said, कहीं सनातनी शास्त्र में नहीं लिखा है कि नॉन वेज नहीं खाना. I was so upset with that statement. I mean, who is this stupid astrologer who's saying stupid things like this, And they're posting it in the group, and all these people are thinking eating veg and non-veg is the same thing and doesn't make a difference. So so I definitely replied. I said, I'm not going to let this kind of a stupid statement go through without some kind of a. The only reason I joined this group is for preaching. So I said, who is this unintelligent Jyotish who knows head nor tail of what is written in the Sanatani Shastras and is talking nonsense? Many people do not understand the uncharitable nature of eating or feeding someone animal meat. All living entities and she's saying Lord is Samadarshi, and so I wanted to get her on that. All living entities are part and parcel of God. The Lord lives within every living entity next to the soul or the living entity in the heart, which gives whatever body the soul is in life. The only difference between the soul in an animal body and a human body is the level of consciousness. This is why the human form of life is so precious, that we can reflect, study, and understand how we can get out of this karmic cycle of material birth and death altogether and go back to our original spiritual constitutional position with God. Even Christians and Muslims refrain from eating meat during Lent and fasting days, at least some level of austerity. The Lord may sanction the eating meat if you so desire, but you will suffer the consequences of harming another living entity, and that the Lord equally loves. Here is the Lord Samadarshi.
Mhm.
They're saying the Lord is Samadarshi to the veg and non-veg people, but the Lord is also Samadarshi to the animals, right? That's the part they do
Right.
not get. Therefore, the Lord certainly does not condone it. I said, the Lord may sanction it. If you want to eat, eat, but you're going to suffer the consequences. That's the part people don't realize. And then I said, Krishna clearly states in the Bhagavad Gita that he will not accept. And I gave them the verse, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. People are so stupid. They accept these stupid astrologers who are saying things like this, like, and they think it's a nice thing to say, like, oh, Bhagwan Samadarshi hai, he's equal towards the veg and non-veg. Of course he's equal towards the veg and non-veg, but he's also equal towards the animals that they're eating, right? So, you know what we're coming back to, people think that bhakti is enough, but you don't need jnana and vairagya.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So basically, so how do you understand, right? Of course, we have to start bhakti. To
Yeah,
bhakti
but we
definitely leads
eventually
the
have to give up some things, right, with jnana and
knowledge. Yeah.
vairagya. Yeah.
So knowledge and vairagya comes when you start bhakti, but to further progress in the bhakti, we need to have the proper knowledge and detachment. We need to continue. Then again, the bhakti stages will increases like that. It's like both are interdependent kind of. That's what we need to understand.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you much. Thank you much.
They don't understand Krishna's equality.
Exactly. I mean,
As they surrender, I reward them accordingly.
Exactly. She's thinking Samadarshi means that he's equal towards the veg and non-veg people. But what about his equality towards the animals, right?
Right, but also is he equal? He gives them what they deserve. Everybody what they deserve.
Exactly. They can eat if they want non-veg, but they're going to get the consequence of it. It's so, I
Yes,
mean,
that's equality. Everybody should.
that's equality. Exactly. In fact, I should have probably said that. He's Samadarshi towards all living entities, because she used this word Samadarshi.
Oh, God, it's just too like God loves everybody. No matter what you do, He'll treat you.
Yeah. God loves everybody. You can do whatever
But
you
how
want.
is
He's
that fair?
Samadarshi. Yeah.
How is that fair?
Oh my God.
Go
I
kill
mean,
somebody. Oh, He
it,
loves me.
I mean,
No,
I don't care
everybody.
what these people think of me. When they say stupid things like that, I have to reply. I'm
What
sure some of them
here?
are probably upset with me because many of them eat meat, but I don't care.
Yeah, they just want excuses to.
Yeah, they want excuse, and they want people to say nice things like, "Oh, Lord is Samadarshi. It's okay if you do whatever."
Right.
Yeah.
Often when we hear Samoham Sarvabhuteshu, along with that, we always quote this word, Ye Tamam Prapadyante Tam Sthideva Vajan.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, you mean, however you worship me, I will accept it? That one?
Yeah, yes, Mataji, like
Mm,
it's, yeah.
mm.
I mean, I'll reciprocate.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah, I will
reciprocate.
reciprocate. Yeah,
Krishna reciprocated.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the definition of bhakti has been diluted a lot between
And
the people, right?
no,
The real,
just to Yata Mamprabha Madangi, that is true, except that where if you worship Lord Ganesh, you're going to go to his planet. If you worship Shiva, you're going to his. Yes, Yata Mamprapadente is correct. But if you do not want to get out of this cycle of birth and death, then fine, right?
Yeah, yes, Mataji. It's like how
yeah,
we
Krishna
want.
will tell.
How you want is fine. So whatever you want, you will get. So that is correct. Yata mam prapadente. But
Yeah,
they do not understand. They think that they will get the best by doing the least.
yeah,
That is not true.
yeah.
So sorry, Rasraj Prabhu, I had to say that.
No, that's good. That's good, right? It's
So
definitely.
yata mam prapadente is right. They do not understand what it means.
Yeah, I mean, we need to understand the proper, that's what, so many misleading people try to mislead, all of them, and lack of knowledge, the common people follow that simply, and they see that again, there is still they are, uh, you know, it's it their sense gratification is not hampering. That's why they follow all such uh path, but yes, but
Yeah, I mean, it's like for the Durga Puja now is coming up, and they're doing a big Durga Puja in the Middletown Temple on the 27th, and they're collecting like so much money, and everybody is like so generously giving, and they think worshiping. I mean, there's nothing wrong in worshiping the demigods, as we all know, but what is it that you're asking them, and what is your goal? And they think that everything is equal.
yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, they very elaborately they do, right? 7 days or nine
Oh
days or
my God!
something.
Yeah, just with small collections, they have collected like some $8,000 and all that, just like that.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, those are things.
And I remember, since I've known the Middletown Temple since the beginning of it. In fact, Temple came after there was a Hare Krishna temple in this town. In Connecticut, it came about 6 or 7 years after the Hare Krishna temple was established in Connecticut. So I remember the very beginning when we didn't have a temple. They used to worship in some colleges and things like that. And where was I going? I lost my train of thought. Um, Collection. I don't. I was trying to make a point. I can't remember where my train of thought was going.
Didn't they even allow people to bring meat? Weren't they serve?
Oh, that's where I was going. Exactly. In
Yeah.
the beginning, in the Middletown Temple, for all the festivals, they used to serve dinner afterwards. It used to have onion and garlic in it. And then I used to say, like, how can you serve onion and garlic in a temple? And they used to say, oh, and some of the Kannadigas and all that, we offer onion and garlic to the Lord. They used to tell me. I remember.
This,
You
I
know.
mean, this Durga Puja and Kali Puja, they celebrate. I remember few years before the COVID, like we went to book distribution in some Bengali community. They performed a Kali Puja
Mm-hmm.
somewhere, in some school.
Mm-hmm.
So after the all the puja, everything done, they had a big feast with non-veg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't
And
be surprised. But now I think with a lot of, I think they heard some criticism, and there maybe some more pure Brahminical people came into the temple. Now at least they don't serve onion and garlic for any of the,
Mm,
dinners that they serve in the middle. So that is a quite an improvement from the very beginning of this temple.
mm,
So at least they don't serve onion and garlic now for all the festival days when they serve the dinner. But in the beginning, they used to serve onion and garlic. And I used
mm.
to think, what is this? In a temple, they're serving onion and garlic. How can any of this be prasadam? And even when I said that, they thought like I was a stupid person saying that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's what, like, all comes down to the lack of knowledge, right? The real knowledge, what Krishna always say, the real knowledge is very important. Um, I have always doubt, like when the priest of different these temples, they they undergo some training, right, before becoming the feast. I mean, the priest and all. So they don't study all this knowledge, looks like, right? Or they study, but they cannot, they don't implement something like that.
Yeah, they study just the priestly knowledge, all the mantras. That's it. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? They don't study the shastras themselves deeply. I mean, some of the priests are a little more. They give some lectures and all that. But they are read in some of the Mahabharata, Ramayanas, and all that. They do talk. Some of the shastra, but it's not perfect.
Yeah.
And I doubt if it's totally paramparik too. On the other hand, what is that? Sri Vishnu Sampradaya or
Yes.
Ramanuja Sampradaya? Those people from Pomona temple,
Right.
they are shastric.
Mm.
They follow paramparik, and I was really impressed. I was really impressed by some of their Sita Kalyanam,
Right.
and all that they do. And even at the end of the whole thing, I was surprised when they said Radhe Radhe. Uh, and I just love the fact that they run their temples. Really shocking. They totally depend on Narayana and don't even ask for money from anybody.
Mm.
They totally depend on Narayana, and money just flows into the temple. So that kind of bhakti and that kind of pure paramparic tradition is really to be impressed. Is impressive.
Right.
So there are both kinds, in the Indian traditions. Impressive temples like that, and not so impressive.
Where is that one?
In Pomona. Pomona is what, in New Jersey or New York? Raja,
It's New York, I think. Yeah, upstairs.
Upstate New York.
Yeah.
And they come and do Sita Kalyanam in different people's house. They do not ask for any money. You give whatever you want to give. There is no set money for the puja. You give whatever you want. Even if people give them money, they're not genuinely, they're less interested in the money than really blessing, doing the worship of the Lord. And somehow, because they are, and they even bring the prasadam and serve in your house, for however number of people you're inviting. And somehow people are so touched by their bhakti that people just give.
Yeah.
And the temple runs really well.
They also give prasadam all the time.
All the time they bring free prasadam. So it is like such a wonderful tradition. I was so impressed that they totally depend on Lord Narayana.
And for Archana, they won't charge any money.
Yeah, for
One
Archana, they
time I
don't
asked,
charge anybody. It's not like this
Yeah.
this much money, this much money. They have no interest. It is totally like, and it works. It works so well. Their bhakti works. Their dependence on Narayana works. It truly shows that when you completely depend on Krishna, money comes. Like Srila Prabhupada says, our temples are run by Lakshmi ji and Radharani. Why should we have any, but it depends that kind of bhakti for it to be managed like that, And I could tell those priests are like so simple. They are just interested in only in the worship, and they're not at all interested in the money that you're giving them. But when you see that kind of bhakti, you want to give.
Yeah.
I believe they have a sannyasi all the time in the temple, Mataji. I have seen him couple of times. Yeah.
And
along with the priest.
Krishna Priya told me how the sannyasi explained the Sita Kalyanam procedure and all that, and it was very, very nice the way she explained it to me, what the sannyasi said to her. So, very impressive. So, there are impressive traditions like that, and there are not so impressive traditions in some of the local temples.
Yes. Okay. All right, then we can continue tomorrow. Let's offer our obeisances to all the Vaishnavas. Vancha
Kalpatarubhyascha kripasindabhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srisraj Prabhu ki